commented on Vanessa about memory, and I had
Yeah.
just had a really bad seizure like 6 weeks ago, and kind of I felt like it was the first time my memory was like compensated. It's like 51st dates with me, right? And can you? So
I
is
laugh because it's true. I'm not laughing at you. Because
Laughing with
my memory
you, not
sucks.
for you, not at you.
Yeah, my memory sucks, and I let people know and we laugh about it, but it really is true. Like,
have you? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, yeah, I've had times where I'm so convinced about something that I've forgotten that it got so bad to the point where I started crying because at the time the medication that I was taking was contributing to it. And it's scary. Like, we laugh about it, but it is actually scary to know that you can't for the life of you remember a certain thing that you went through, or just like what happened yesterday, and these are things that people with like Alzheimer's go through, I think. Yeah, that they go through, and they're of a certain age, so you kind of understand that. But when you're in your 20s and you're in your 30s and these things are happening to you right then and there, it just feels like half of your life is missing or is compensated.
Yeah. Do you have any when you miss out on those moments, do you have any, like, I'm interested to know if you have like a mechanism to maybe try to facilitate your memory or like taking notes. Like that movie
Um,
Memento, the guy tattooed memories on him, or I mean, nothing that
I
I don't see any tattoos,
I
but
I definitely write a lot. Like, I have journals and sketchbooks like all over the place. Um, but then I definitely like forget to write. I forget to write in them, and so I use like apps on my phone. I use like the reminder. I use notes. I use a journaling app called Day One. Um, and I still forget. I still forget. It's crazy, for lack of a better word, um, how much we try. And I feel like some persons are more like harder on themselves when they try and it doesn't work out, because I did the same thing. But it's just a part of your condition. You're gonna forget things, and just don't be too hard on yourself. There's a time I called a meeting and I made everyone sign the memo, and I forgot about the meeting.
it,
So I was late. And they're like, "We've been waiting on you." I'm like, "Why?"
oh man, was that
What?
for?
What
Yeah.
would you say is more affected, Vanessa, your short-term memory or your long-term memory?
I think my short term memory, but like, because your short term memory is affected in the long run, you won't remember what the short term memory is. So
Yep, I hear you. How about you, Nathan? What's yours?
Oh, well, this most recent case was short term. I mean, this girl was telling me about her father and her occupation and stuff. And then I remember we were talking about him the next day. And I said, I looked at her, I was like, your dad was in marketing too? Like it's the first time I heard it. And she looked at me like this. She like didn't think, she didn't know if I was joking with her. She didn't know if I was just like, she didn't know what was going on. I was like, and I was like little kid excited to hear this information
when
as
you
if it
heard it,
was brand new, but in
Yeah.
reality, it had happened now two or three times. So, I mean, that's a really interesting moment to kind of go through. I remember one time too, Shannon, I did, and Vanessa, I was at work in California and I was really stressed about getting an email off. I go to
hmm
my email, I go to my sent box. I'm stressing, I'm sweating over this email, getting off this email. I look and guess, the day before I had already sent the email. And so I already sent the email.
why are you
I was just, I
stressing?
look, I was like, what the fuck? And
Way
then
to
just
go. It's
I
out
just
each day.
smiled, but it's scary, and I admire your take on that, Vanessa, to kind of truck through and like you said, we have to sort of laugh about these things and just to kind of I think it's a coping mechanism. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a fair one. I mean, and sometimes yeah, I mean, that's why I've always enjoyed laughter because it's really a way to again cope with things that are just abnormal or not used to you and
Well,
so
and I think,
you
Nathan,
know
that's why, you know, we developed this podcast too, and Vanessa, it's meant to be kind of an upbeat take on living life with epilepsy. And people with epilepsy know they're you have to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit. And in people with any other disorders or diseases, no,
Yeah.
there has to be an element of humor to get you through from day to day. And I think and you probably know this with mental health too. It absolutely is serious, but for me and for Nathan, things that have gotten through us through is the ability to laugh and to
Well,
say, hey, a walk team at one of our walks was named Seizure Salad. Like, I think that's pretty funny. I'm not, I mean, I like it. I think it's hilarious. And I think it's a good way to show, like, we're not going to take our selves too seriously um, because, we still have this life to live. And
yeah, and I was gonna compliment the name of the podcast because I thought it was funny. I was like, "Hazy, not crazy," you know. I was like, "Oh, that's cute."
uh,
Um, and it is what it is because usually, like for epilepsy, when you're doing like fundraisers and stuff like that, they host like a walkathon. And I remember I was inviting some of my friends to one that we host here, and they're like, "Oh, so why didn't you guys have a like a marathon, like a running?" I'm like, "Girl, we don't run." You know what I mean? Like,
we
we
sure
don't.
don't.
We're overexerting ourselves. We don't do that.
yeah, I feel you.
Really